What's up, everyone? We are live at Hong Kong FinTech Week today. My name is Jason, and joining me today is someone that we all know well, Henri Centieiro from HashKey Capital, who's been on numerous episodes of HashKey Learn. Now, Henri, welcome to Hong Kong FinTech Week. How are you?
Hi, Jason. I'm very good. Very excited for this FinTech Week. It seems that we are going to have very interesting talks, and I'm very delighted to see our amazing booth here.
Yeah, exactly. So for those of you who don't know, so HashKey is a platinum sponsor. We're one of the leading sponsors of Hong Kong FinTech Week this year. And Henri is actually one of the speakers who is invited to speak at Hong Kong FinTech Week. Now, Henri, your panel today is about DeFi. DeFi disruptor, do you agree? Disruptor to the traditional finance industry.
Yeah, so somehow DeFi is going to be a disruptor, just like the internet was a disruptor 25 years ago. And of course, you have some institutions that are early adopters and they will benefit by being early adopters. And others will adopt maybe a bit later. But I think in the future, maybe in 10 years, instead of having the FinTech Week, we are going to have the DeFi Week in Hong Kong. So this is going to be indeed a disruptor. Indeed, it's going to be a disruptor because DeFi is building new financial applications, exactly the same financial applications that we have in the traditional worlds, exchange, lending, derivatives, and many others, but building them from scratch. So instead of building them on the existing railways or the financial industry, it's building from scratch. And banks and financial institutions will need to understand this because it's not only creating new APIs and integrations to integrate with DeFi, you actually really need to interact with DeFi native applications and learn how to do it. So there is some disruption. And there are other exciting things like tomorrow or after tomorrow, the Federal Reserve will meet again, and probably it will increase the Fed funds rate by 75 basis points again, which will be set to 3.75 to 4%. Did you know that you as a bank, you can go to a DeFi lending protocol like Aave and MakerDAO and get a loan for like 1%? So this is disruptive indeed, and it's very exciting to see.
Now, you mentioned banks and traditional finance institutions. Do you see a world where DeFi and TradFi can coexist in terms of banks, traditional institutions, investment banks using the services of DeFi to service their clients?
Yeah, definitely. I think we will see that happening in the future. It's already somehow possible. Some banks are already engaging in DeFi. You have Societe Generale, ING, Huntington Valley Bank in Pennsylvania. They're already using some DeFi applications. They are very early adopters, of course. But I think in the future, yes, banks will, together with DeFi applications, provide better services for their customers.
What areas of blockchain and Web3 do you see Hong Kong as having the most potential in developing in and fostering an ecosystem out of?
And I see that the industry next year will evolve, will develop a lot, and I think we'll have more ecosystem in Hong Kong. And the general, in terms of adoption, I think Hong Kongers are early adopters, people that live in Hong Kong, and people are very excited, for example, about NFTs. You see NFTs everywhere, advertisements, right? And in the future, I see a very interesting intersection between NFTs and DeFi, because NFTs can represent not only digital art that we see nowadays, but can represent debt, property, potentially any real world asset. And when you bring NFTs and DeFi together, you can unlock the liquidity of these NFTs, for example, in DeFi NFT lending applications. So the future is very bright, I think, and Hong Kong for sure is going to be one of the hubs.
The final two questions. The first one is, over the past month or over the past year, we've seen lots of institutions getting into the space, right? Fidelity, BlackRock, BNY Mellon, State Street, all of these.
Yeah, so these institutions are getting into the space, including like Fidelity. When Fidelity announced that it will start supporting digital assets in Bitcoin, people were like super positive, but things still take time. They announced that, but I don't think they are already supporting it. Things take time. it takes time to have the regulations in place so that institutions feel comfortable to deal with digital assets, and also to have the accounting standards. Just very recently in the US, now you have the accounting standards that allow for the to book the fair value of digital assets, for example. And this is very important for institutions. So in terms of regulations, we are lagging behind a little bit, but we see very positive developments, and institutions will for sure be able to enter the space in a more comfortable way. They can eventually, for example, talk with HashKey so that we guide them through the next steps to adopt digital assets, to have access to a custodian, and so on. So I think at the moment, if you are an institution, you can already be quite comfortable regarding regulatory compliance and adopt digital assets.
Now, final question. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say, what's the most significant / momentous moment in crypto over the past 5 years?
Oh, wow. 5 years.
The first thing that comes to your mind.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is actually Elon Musk buying Twitter recently. But I think that comes to my mind first because it's a very recent event, and it may actually unlock a lot of crypto blockchain use cases, because if actually Twitter moves forward with incorporating a wallet on Twitter, you have like millions and millions of users that can now have access to digital assets. But I think more significant in over the last 5 years, probably you have the DeFi summer and the DeFi emergence, where you have not only one asset class, but all possible asset classes building up on the top of DeFi applications. And I think that's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar market in the future.
Awesome, Henry. Well, it was such a pleasure to speak to you today again.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. So all the best in your panel later, and I'll be cheering from the sidelines.